Today I'm here to talk to you today about what I think is coming in 2023. And the timing's always hard to predict, but I do think we're at the beginning of something. Whether it transpires in months or years or longer than that, we will see. But I think we're on the verge of something that's not simply a financial crisis, but a fiat crisis, where what fails on the other side isn't unfortunately just banks, but governments. And without further ado, let me kind of describe what I think the context for what's coming today is, the ongoing economic polycrises and how we might be able to adapt. All right, so let's take a look at some slides. So the concept today is the fiat crisis. What if the long term is now, okay? And this is a slide from Ray Dalio's video, The Changing World Order, which depicts the US in decline and a rising China. And someone's also added Bitcoin over here, and essentially I think what that conveys is that the future order is not simply just replacement by another reserve currency, but a multipolar order where, for example, let's say the renminbi takes on, or the yuan rather, takes on medium exchange along with the Indian rupee, and Bitcoin takes on store of value, and Ethereum is maybe the financial system, and all of them contest the US dollar system of control, and then we have all kinds of, decentralized exchange stuff for exchange rates. So it's not just that the dollar, quote, fails and goes away and has a single replacement, but it's multiple replacements. It gets unbundled in a sense, okay? So that, I think, is one of the potential long-term outcomes. But first, let me talk about what the crisis is. What if the long term is now? And what is the long term? So let's talk context, crisis, and then change. Context. We kind of know, if you're an American, if you have even a glancing familiarity with the US, that the US national debt is unpayable. It's past $31 trillion, $238,000 for every family. This is far in excess of US household savings or what have you. And that national debt just keeps getting larger and larger. This is a graph that someone made where, this is showing, annual tax revenue. This is like, deficit, and the debt gets added to by a number of measures. But it's just been expanding across parties for a long time, and now it's many-fold larger than even revenue each year, which would mean it would take quite a long time to pay it off, even if all the tax revenue each year was devoted to the debt. It won't be. So this debt just keeps expanding, okay? And the thing is, though, investors know the United States can pay the debt because it's due in its own currency, so it can always print the money someday, okay? When that day comes, if that day comes, that's called monetizing the debt. And because it basically spends down the full faith and credit of the US government, and it pays the debts, it's $1 for $1, but it prints so many dollars that the purchasing power of the dollar is gone, that would be the end of this financial system and the beginning of the next. Ray Dalio wrote a whole book on this and a video which talks about how this is coming in the not too distant future. It's called Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. I recommend you read it. But he kept it abstract. He kept it with cartoons and so on, which was good because it sort of distanced it from daily events. But go and watch that, and then start replacing the cartoons in those videos with real events, and perhaps that long-term future is now.